I've known Herman for a number of years. I'm not going to tell any war stories on Herman because he cast aspersions on both our characters. So, Herman has had a varied and successful coaching career, both at the high school and college level, and he's earned honors at each level he's coached at, highlighted by his phenomenal success in starting the wrestling program at Wilkes Community College and taking that program to a 4th place national finish. That year he earned National Coach of the Year honors, and has just, I don't think you realize what it takes taking something from ground zero in the short amount of time he did at the junior college level. His devotion to the sport is evidenced by being named North Carolina USA Wrestling Person of the Year and Coach of the Year. Later in his career, moving on to administration, he wrote a doctoral dissertation which involved wrestling. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you Coach and Dr. Herman Norman.
I'm so glad that I get to follow PJ because for once I don't have to adjust the microphone. First, let me thank the board for selecting me. Rex, I appreciate all the work that you do. Thank you so much for that. I want to thank the good Lord. He's been blessed. I'm sort of an old dog. I don't know too much about technology. My son's whiz with it, but I did 2 things today that I've never done. I did FaceTime. FaceTime, one of my wrestlers, Ronnie Brenton from Starmount High School, FaceTimed me from the hospital. He couldn't be here because he was lying in bed, but he wanted to call and say congratulations. And the second was just a few minutes ago out here from Afghanistan. Jeff Cashin, who wrestled for me, his wife's back here, and got to talk to him, even though it was his nap time, but he did call and we had quite a conversation, and I certainly appreciate that. But again, I want to thank the good Lord. He's blessed me so well. I want to thank him for giving me 2 wonderful sons, Steele and Chance. Wonderful daughter-in-law, Mary Ann, and maybe future daughter-in-law, Alex. They're engaged. Got 2 grandsons back there, Hudson and Emmett. We don't know if they'll be wrestlers or not, but they sure do like to wrestle on old Pawpaw. Very thankful for my beautiful and loving wife, Angie. She's really been with me. Even got her to go with me up to Madison Square Garden for the NCAA Wrestling Championships a couple of years ago. My high school coach was Coach Gary Talley. Unfortunately, Coach Talley passed away a few months ago. We had a coach there at the high school, Tom Boyette. I don't know if any of you know Coach Boyette or not. Coach Boyette had 1 arm. He lost it in an accident when the children's home, but he ended up being a little All-American at Appalachian in football and at Duke. So he's quite a special young man. Well, I guess I had a Napoleon complex when I started high school because I was small, whatever, but I fought a lot. I was in a lot of trouble for fighting. And one day he comes in with his paddle, which they used paddles back then, and he's beating it on his nub. He said, "Norman, so we're going to consolidate schools next year, and they're going to start a program over there called wrestling." I said, "You like to fight, so I think that's where you need to be." Hey, when Tom Boyette tells you something, you do it. And I did it. Again, my seen a wrestling match. First time I'd seen a wrestling match. So that made for quite an interesting season. But our team actually got better, and Coach Talley became very much more knowledgeable about wrestling. And Kim Hefner's back here. Kim actually wrestled a couple of years after me, and he was a state place winner. So maybe it wasn't a coach. Maybe it's just what the coach had to work with. My first real coaching experience was at Star Mountain High School. Guys from Star Mountain, stand up just a second, please. Appreciate them being here today. That means quite a lot to me. These kids were really tough. They had to be to put up with me. But the parents were good too. I've got, there's two sets. One had to leave, but Mary and Joe Welburn are back there. They supported us immensely. Anything we needed, they were there for us. And Bud and Vivian Royal were here. Both Mark and Jeff, their sons, wrestled for me. Jeff's no longer with us. He passed away a few years ago, but it was so good to have them here. But I know that he would like to be in here. He's very competitive, did an humble, very, very great young man. But when we talk about Star Mountain High School, we took a program that was average, and we turned it into one of the best in the area. And the reason we did it was the work ethic of these young men. I've been all over the country and in different situations, different schools or whatever, and I've never been able to duplicate the school community that was at Star Mountain High School. Some of my guys that ran track for me, maybe played football, are here and didn't know anything about wrestling, but they're here for me today, like Scott Collar. By the way, Scott is mine and Mr. Wayne Barker's tax accountant. So if you see the IRS come in, let me know so I can get started.
Me too.
But a lot of our success there at Star Mountain, again, came from hard-nosed kids, and one of them in particular that was my first captain, and that's Chris Caldwell. Chris, I appreciate all you did for me. From Star Mountain, I went to Wilkes Community College, a student activities coordinator. Should have just stayed there, not coaching, doing anything. It was really a pie job, but I miss coaching. So I interviewed for a couple of high school jobs, and when my boss realized that I might leave, he said, "Why don't you start a program here?" And I don't think he or I, either one, knew what we were doing. But I was laughing about the horsehide mats a while ago, because that's what we started our college program on. Those big horsehide, and we didn't have mat tape either. We used duct tape as well. But my team's here, the Wilkes, young men from Wilkes. Would you stand up, please? I took kids out of the cafeteria that I had coached against, and that was our first wrestling team. And luckily, the High School Athletic Association let us do some tournaments with high school students. So that's how we started. And then we began to grow, and we began to seek out quality programs like High Point Andrews and Cary, Rock Hill, South Carolina, and others. I had coaches that helped me so much. Bill Bookout, I saw Bill back there. He sent me Mark Barker and some other kids there in that area. And Wally Burke and Bobby Lloyd. I hate Bobby's not here today because Bobby Lloyd's an outstanding coach. And he helped me a great deal. And the guys from High Point Andrews that I got were successful, not only because of what I did, but with Bobby working with them behind the scenes. I went back and got some of my old wrestlers too. I got Mark Royal and David Oliver. I knew they were quality kids, so I got them. And we were successful to a certain extent, but then I had to go and take it a little bit further, and we started recruiting all around the state and even nationally. We would go down to the Sunshine Open tournament in Florida, and didn't realize there wasn't a junior college program anywhere in the area, but we were able to recruit down there and did quite well. In 4 short years, we, like I said, went to 4th in the nation. Now, that's a bit deceptive because they voted the year before to divide scholarship and non-scholarship programs and have a national champion for each. but they got in an argument at the season meeting that year and just decided to table it for another year. Had they not done that, we would have won the Division III non-scholarship program by over 100 points. So that's probably why they did vote me National Coach of the Year. Some people said, well, if you'd have done that in any other sport, you'd have probably been on the cover of Sports Illustrated. That's probably true, and we wouldn't even wore a burkini, is that what it is now? Wouldn't even have to wear one of those. The third part of my wrestling adventure began when I became a high school principal. Coach Farmers back here at Forbush, I helped him out a little bit, and we had Mac Hefner that placed for us in the state, and a couple other place winners that year, and it was a really enjoyable experience. And then I actually became principal of Forbush High School. And probably what I did as an administrator had more impact than even what I did as a coach. I was able to develop a really neat relationship with the University of Iowa, and that enabled me to bring some, into North Carolina, Tom and Terry Brands, Joe Williams, Lincoln McElravy, and some other of the Iowa wrestlers. And even, I was also able, when I was athletic director for Horry County Schools, to bring John Mark Bentley down for a clinic at North Myrtle Beach. Now, as they said, I'm actually a doctor. I can't believe that. I had no intention of becoming a doctor, but, and no, I'm not a proctologist either, so I can't be helping you there. But I can't say I enjoyed it. I can't say that it actually made me wiser. It was a lot of hard work. But a lot of my friends got to that dissertation point and then dropped out. They call them ABD, absent without dissertation, or absent, whatever they did, absent with all but dissertation. But I couldn't do that because I chose as my topic for my dissertation, reaching disenfranchised students through relationships formed in amateur wrestling. So it was a labor of love, and I really did enjoy that. I took 3 kids that were successful, that wrestled for me, 3 kids that weren't successful. Success meaning they had a job, they did well, had a good family, and 3 that weren't successful, meaning they had some run-in with the law. Either served time or got called or fined or whatever. And it allowed me to go so many places. The most memorable too is I interviewed John Smith down at Bob Guzzo's wrestling camp. But the most memorable was I interviewed Dan Gable in his basement. And I had a friend of mine that wasn't into wrestling, but I did videotape it, and he saw the videotape. He said, I don't know who Dan Gable is, but he's got a picture of himself on Wheaties box, so he must be pretty important. Thank you. But I just want to say that wrestling was really good to me, but the one statement that stands out, I interviewed this young man that wrestled on the club team of mine in prison. And he was in there trying to kill his mother and father, and he shot through the bed. He went through her hair. And his statement to me was, Coach, the only time I ever felt wanted or anybody cared for me was when I was on the wrestling team. And that hit really close to home. Again, I thank you. It's such a great honor. I so admire the people, the inductees before me in this class, and I certainly do appreciate you having me here today. God bless you.